Hey guys, this is Mr. Grizzle. I'm going to give you a little demonstration on how to do basic paper weaving. It's really not that hard. Anybody can do it. I'm just going to show you the basics on how to do just a standard A-B style of paper weaving. There are many different types of variations, but we're not going to worry so much about that. We're just going to do the basic type and then let you be creative with the other type and see how it goes from there. First things first, you will need two different colored pieces of paper. I have red and I have green. I chose these two because they're complementary colors and also they show up very well on video. Two, you will need some sort of pair of scissors. I have just a regular pair of blue scissors here. I like to have a glue stick, mainly because glue stick dries quicker, and this isn't a necessary part of paper weaving. If you do it really the correct way, you don't need it, but I like it just to make sure that it stays nice and put together. So, first things first, you decide which color you want to start with. I think for general purposes, I'm just going to select green. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to fold the paper in half long ways, just like a hot dog bun, kind of like a foot-long hot dog bun, so to speak. Okay. Now, once you fold it in half like that, you're going to have two different sides. You're going to have a side that is creased and a side that opens, just like that. You want the side that is creased towards you. Okay, the best way I've always kind of described this is that you put the hot dog here in the bun. You want the bun part that won't get your hand messy with sauce or anything else in your hand. Then you're going to take your scissors, and this is kind of important too, and I'm going to do this real slowly at first. On the side that's folded, you're going to cut almost to the top and stop. See how I did that? You cut all the way up and then you stop. Okay. Now what you're going to do is you're just going to make a repetitive pattern or repeating pattern or something that's rhythmic actually, to where you're going to make some cuts that are very similar all the way down. I've mentioned this a million times before over the years that it's almost like you're making a big pair of what are they called? Fake eyelashes, so to speak. Okay. Now I should have see how they don't go all the way to the top. They go just like this. Okay. Now we'll be actually doing something similar to this once we get into the new year, but that's something different in general. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to take my other piece of paper. Now I have to cut some strips that are going to be used to weave into the other one. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to hold my paper the same direction that I held the other one. Now if you remember with the green one, it was this direction. I folded it this way. See how I did that? Well, I need to have that that paper vertical as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to I have to eyeball it. Now we can be real specific and measure and things like that, but that's not really important. We're not looking for something to be perfect. We're just looking to make a mat. Okay, so I get my scissors, and once again I'm going to cut, but this time I'm going to try to cut the same width all the way down. See how and it cuts a strip. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut as many of these size strips as I can. Using my scissors. And I'm going to do that all the way until my paper is finished. Just like this. And somehow I actually cut these just about right because it ended up being the right all the way through. Okay, that ended up to where I have 1, 2, 3. I've got 6 strips. That's a pretty good number. You need to be able to weave at least 4, and you'll see why here in a second. Okay. Now I'm going to take these strips and put them aside just for the second. I'm going to pull out my green paper again, but this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my paper back up. Okay. Now notice when I open it up, I want it to be kind of like a tent. See how this part kind of moves up in the middle? I've found over the years it's easier to weave that way. And once I open it up, you will notice that it kind of looks like fish gills. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to remember the pattern over and under. Okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get one of my red strips. I'm going to go over one strip, under the next. See how I did that? Over one strip, under the next. Now I'm just going to repeat that. Over this strip, under the next. Over this strip, under the next. Over this strip, under the next. Okay? And what I usually do is I usually kind of make sure that it's nice and snug over there, just like that. See how I did that? And everybody always says, "Oh, Mr. Grizzle, it's starting to look kind of like a checkerboard." Yes, that's exactly what he wanted to look like. Okay? Now, next step is that I'm going to weave this one in, except I'm going to weave it in an entirely different way. Instead of putting it over and then under, now I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to go under the first strip, over the next. Under the next strip, over the next. Under, over. Under, and over. If you do it the correct way, it should start kind of looking like a checkerboard, where you have the opposite color as it goes. Okay? Now, remember how I said at the very beginning that this is a basic AB style of pattern. Just like when you are writing in poetry, you learn that there are different ways. Like there is A, B, and then there may be A, B, C, like types of poetry, to where this line and this line may have words that rhyme, and this line have rhymes that rhyme, but they are basically the same. That's exactly what we're doing with this particular thing. This first strip is going to be your A, the second strip is going to be your B. So that means that if I have A here, if the pattern is A, B, if this is A and this is B, the next letter in the pattern is going to be an A, which is going to be the next strip. So I'm going to put the next one in the same way I did the first one, which is over the first strip, under the next, over, under, over, under, until I get it to the very, very end, just like this. Now, obviously, I'm overcomplicating this just a little bit in description, but I'm just making sure I'm covering all my bases for everybody, okay? Now, since this is an AB style of pattern, I want to make sure that I've already got both my A's. Now I need to get my B, so which means I need to go back in again and do it just the same way that I did the B, which is under and over. Under and over. And then just kind of slide it over. Okay? Now basically what I'm going to do is that once I have at least 4 strips in there, that's basically telling me that, hey, I know how to do this, Mr. Grizzle. Cool. So that's basically all I'm really looking for. Now you can obviously go on and continue. You may go on and put some decorations on it and some other things. That's entirely up to you. I am going to add one more strip because I have room for one more. And I'm going to make sure of that, because when you do that, that sometimes makes it kind of stay in there pretty good. Okay, just like so. Okay, I can spread these out just a little bit if I want to. Now, the glue part. This is what I usually do with the glue. The little parts at the very end, those little tabs there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of glue there and just leave it down there. What that does, it keeps it from kind of moving around later on. Just put a little glue right there. Put the tab down. There should be some here on the other side too. Down this way. Put a little glue right there. That's actually a lot of glue, but whatevs. Put some other little glue right there. Put some other glue right here. Just like that. And that's a basic ABA style of weaving. There are many other things that you can do. Please experiment around with this. Add different colors and whatnot to it. That's entirely up to you. And thank you so much for being very attentive. And now it is time to get your materials and start it yourself.